Here we are. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my session that I'm co-presenting with Kristi Talbot, who is not here, but you will still see and hear her. We will start with a land acknowledgement. So we are so grateful to be here, supported by the land and water that have traditionally been and continue to be cared for by the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee First Nations. This conference is taking place at Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is situated on the shore of Lake Ontario. And the word Ontario is derived from a Ganyangeha word, Mohawk language word, that means beautiful lake. And Kristi will tell you something as well.
Yeah, it's one of the languages that's spoken on this land for millennia. The land smiles when it hears the language again. In the spirit of acknowledging the land on which we are presented today, I will be teaching you a word that shows gratitude to the land.
This is interactive.
The word "deet" means both to acknowledge and express gratitude, as they are one and the same. I will say the word a little bit slowly. With each syllable, I'll have you repeat after me. The word "deet" is broken down like this.
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. T. Nu.
We.
La. Dus. Deetenu. Verladus. Deetenu. Verladus.
Putting it together.
Deetenu verladus.
Knowledge where we give thanks to them, the land, the place in which we reside.
So now for introductions. First, the beach. This is the shore of Lake Ontario. On the map, it's called Hamilton Beach A. That's its colonial name. But it's beautiful, and this is where our research took place. We chose it because of its intergenerational relationship to the Ganyangehahaga, the Mohawk Nation, but also because of the human interference and the nature combined. And I am Sonia Martin. I am a PhD candidate at York University in my final year. And I am the 6th generation descendant of European settlers to Canada, which means that I have material, social, and professional benefits of the violences of continued settler colonialism. And I have been working in the English language teaching industry for over 20 years. And international education as well, both of which are rooted in and continue to perpetuate colonialism and imperialism worldwide. And this is Kristi.
My name is Kristi Talbot. I have both Mohawk and Ojibwe lineage. I grew up in the Niagara region, spending much of my time with the community within the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center. I am a Mohawk language consultant and educator through my position at Aboriginal Head Start and my consulting business, Teach Native Culture. I was not brought up speaking my language. Rather, I learned later in life as an adult and have since dedicated myself to sharing and preserving the Mohawk language through classes, resource curriculum development, and community outreach.
So today we will provide an overview of our research project, focusing on benefits of our partnership and preliminary findings. And then we will end with a little lesson from Kristi about an invitation to continue collaborating with CARE for all of us. So my transdisciplinary doctoral research considers the connections between water, language, and international education while prioritizing local Indigenous culture and language, specifically Haudenosaunee culture teachings and Ganyangeha, Mohawk language. The aim of this research is to create the conditions for anti-colonial change by demonstrating that such change is possible. When people feel it in their bodies that it can happen, then they believe it'll happen, and then they will move differently. That's the theory of change. So the Theoretical framework that we drew from included the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address, which Kristi will teach us about in a minute, an expanded critical multilingual language awareness framework, and an expanded definition of languaging.
The Thanksgiving Address, is a Haudenosaunee Iroquois prayer, also referred to as the Ohanagari, the words before all else. It is commonly recited in ceremony or before or after important meetings and gatherings. The Thanksgiving Address is an acknowledgement of appreciation for all living things and reflects the Indigenous worldview of respect for Mother Earth. Although this particular prayer is a Haudenosaunee custom, it shares the same universal Indigenous belief that Mother Earth and all of its creation are living, breathing entities. When speaking the words of the Thanksgiving Address, we are acknowledging our interconnectedness with all living beings and expressing gratitude or thanksgiving for the relationship we have with one another. Within these relationships exists a language that can be both verbal and nonverbal. We understand that it is a reciprocal relationship that requires mutual respect and communication to continue living harmoniously amongst one another. The practice of giving thanks is a part of the ongoing conversation between ourselves and the world we live in.
To support this inquiry, we also turn to the Critical Multilingual Language Awareness Framework, CMLA. The purpose of CMLA is to develop an understanding of the socio-political construction of language, how colonialism and imperialism affect and oppress language use and users, as well as the benefits of plurilingualism for liberatory language practices. According to Garcia in 2017, quote, a CMLA project has at its focus the potential of language education to change the linguistic hierarchies that have been socially established and thus change the world and advance social justice. It's not too tall of an order. So drawing on Prasad and Laurie's 2020 iteration of CMLA framework, which you can see I've adapted here, I added relationality. I won't go into all of these for this presentation because of time, but they had just the cognitive, affective, performance, social, and they put power at the center. And then we have put relationality as the context for all of it. The teaching of the Thanksgiving Address and the expanded CMLA helped Kristi and I to think through our definition of languaging, which, like CMLA, has grown over time. So again, you can see there's lots of stages to it here on the slide, which I won't go through, but eventually based on these amazing people like Swain and Garcia and Picardo, and then drawing from relationality, we have come up with a definition for languaging that is a dynamic process of meaning making by drawing on linguistic and semiotic resources in the natural world. So in May 2024, Kristi and I facilitated an international education intervention for 11 adult participants on the shore and the beach right here, that's us. We had a pre-event, our participants were international students, domestic students, non-students, Indigenous people, non-Indigenous people, minoritized language speakers, dominant language speakers. We had a pre-event survey that informed what we were going to do during the event, also provided a baseline for what the analysis afterwards. Then we had our social design-based research international education event. And then followed up with photo elicitation interviews. It was all documented by a photographer from Six Nations, Artie K. Martin. So preliminary findings, I've found a few themes here: relationality, validation, empowerment, inspiration, communion, but we're just going to look at relationality because of the way we love to have timed presentations. So this is a quote from one of our participants who's from China. Her name is Sophia, and she's talking about how we had a water-based Ganyan-Geha lesson, by the way. I don't think I said that, but she's talking about how learning with the water brings people together. So not only relationships between people, but also between people, also people with different background, different culture, between female and male, with water, with the environment. When you get out to enjoy the nature, it can make you calm down and more peaceful. You can feel a lot of things. And Kristi was going to talk about this part, but she was saying, we noticed that this project also increases awareness and support for Indigenous language revitalization. Jasmine, who's one of our Indigenous participants, Canadian and Mohawk. Can we just thread into the question period? Thanks. She talked about how she was really impressed. She said, I thought it was very interesting the number of newcomers who participated on the beach day. Like how we learned to say hello, thank you, goodbye, just the general words. I feel like even that is helpful to support endangered languages and support communities that want to communicate with those languages as opposed to English. It would be helpful to have a population willing to learn a handful of phrases so that they could get by traveling in those territories. And her vision for here was kind of like Europe, where you can drive around and you go from country to country, cross borders, and everybody knows how to say hello and thank you in those different languages. And here's Kristi talking about reciprocity in our relationship.
Yeah. This project worked well because of the care and our collaboration and the understanding of mutual reciprocity. My relationship with Sonia began as a professional partnership when she asked me to be a consultant for her study on language and water. We soon formed a friendship based on mutual respect and passion for language. Our conversations are rich with knowledge and ideas from our own lived experiences. Mine being from an Indigenous perspective and hers being from a well-traveled linguistic scholar. Our relationship began with the intention of learning from my Indigenous experience. But since meeting Sonia, I have learned and grown as well. The example that sticks out the most for me was when she taught me the phrase languaging. As an Indigenous person, I've always recognized and appreciated the sentience of all life on Earth. I knew them to have their own spirit and way of communication. Through conversations with Sonia, I was able to further that understanding by labeling it as recognizing the languaging of all beings. Together, we combined these ideas to create an exercise called Listening for Language, for participants to walk the beach and think deeper about the languaging they are seeing. Our two ideas blended together to create an experience that challenged participants to think spiritually and intellectually at the same time.
And for myself, my relationship with Kristi, I greatly benefited. I, as a settler, often have this fear of causing further harm and making missteps. And Kristi helped me to move in ways that were relevant to my own positionality. I have a lot more to say on that, but and finally, this is a really important part for all of us. Kristi would like to talk about the two-row wampum and teach us one more word, and then we'll finish.
Just as the way we began this presentation, we will conclude with the teaching of a phrase in Sonia that invites you to actively participate in careful settler Indigenous collaboration. The two-row wampum was the first agreement made between the Haudenosaunee and the Dutch settlers. It depicts two canoes rowing side by side, neither one steering into the other. It is symbolic of the two groups of people agreeing to live peacefully beside one another. History has proven this agreement to be continuously broken. The Truth and Reconciliation movement aims to return to that original agreement and abide by it. In the spirit of collaborating with care, I am inviting each of you today to make a promise in the language that says you agree to move forward and live by the agreement of the two-row wampum. The phrase "Skana Okiarikwisa" means I promise. Just like before, I'll say it slowly and you can repeat each syllable after me. Ga,
Ska,
no,
no,
ge,
ge,
ri,
ri,
hui,
hui,
sa.
sa.
Skana,
Skana,
angerihuista,
angerihuissa,
skana,
skana,
angerihuista.
angerihuissa,
Putting that together, it sounds like this. Skana, angerihuista,
skana, angerihuissa.
skana, angerihuista. I don't think that's great. Thank you for your careful collaboration. Now,
Thank you.